Hello and welcome to our first lesson on learning the Tamil alphabet presented to you by LearnTamil.com. Before we get started, we're just going to have a quick introduction with some introductory notes. The first thing we want to mention is that the language of instruction for these lessons is English, and specifically the kind of English that we hear in North America. So as we all know, there are different types of English spoken in different countries around the world. In the United States and Canada, it's very similar, and that's what we're going to be calling North American English. This is also the kind of English that you're used to hearing in Hollywood movies. The English that we hear in the United Kingdom or Australia, South Africa or Singapore, those are spoken with different accents, and the vowels and consonants and just the way of pronouncing words is different. So that's just something to keep in mind for those of you who are from those regions. Second thing, the type of Tamil that we're going to be focusing on is going to be the quote-unquote standard Tamil that is found in Tamil Nadu. And I mention this because I know a lot of the viewers out there in places like Canada or the United Kingdom or Australia will have your origins from Tamilam, and the way that some words and vowels are pronounced is going to be different, consonants as well, and we'll highlight some of those differences as we go along, maybe not in the first few lessons, but later on. Next is just a quick word about the number of letters in the alphabet. A lot of native speakers like to quote this number as if it's meaningful. The actual number of letters in English, as we all know, is 26, and in the Tamil language it's triple digits, 247, but don't pay attention to it. Really, the important thing to know is that in English we have 21 consonants and 5 vowels for a total of 26 letters. The way to think about it in the Tamil language is we have 18 consonants and 12 vowels for 30 different letters that you have to learn, and it's really not that hard. Next thing, this is something that we'll learn as we go along, but the Tamil language is phonetic. English is not. And this is a source of confusion and just difficulty in general for non-native speakers of English who are trying to learn the English language. We luckily don't have that problem when we're learning the Tamil language. And I'll just give you a few examples of how it's confusing in English. In these words get and gem, the first two letters are exactly the same, but the sound made by the G letter here is like a G, like we'd expect, and then in the word gem, it sounds like a J. In the next set of words, laugh and thought, in the word laugh, the GH sounds like an F. In the word thought, it sounds like nothing, it sounds silent. And then in the last set of words, we have the words laugh, off, and philosophy, and all of these underlying letter combinations all have the F sound, but we have 3 completely different ways of making that sound. So these sources of confusion don't exist, which is a good thing. The last thing we're going to talk about now is what we call the letters in the Tamil alphabet, and this is mainly for the Igalam Tamils out there. This first letter is A. It's the first letter in the Tamil alphabet, and we're going to call it A in these lessons. A lot of Igalam Tamils will call this Ana, and that's not incorrect. That's perfectly acceptable, but for the person who's learning the alphabet, it's much easier to learn it as A, and we'll stick with that. Similarly, this letter is Ik, and it's really just the K sound, K. We're going to call it Ik. Some people, especially Igalam Tamils, will call this Ikana. We're not going to call it Ikana for the same reasons that we're not going to call this Ana. It's just more confusing to add this ana ending for the different letters. Then this ends the introduction. We'll join you next time for Lesson 1, Part 1.